Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. This is the Business Edition. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern at Standard Time if you want to come on by and check us out live. So let's jump on into the news. So the electric car startup Lucid. Lucid is challenging Tesla's anti-LiDAR stance. So Tesla does not use LiDAR. It's one of the self-driving technologies that doesn't want to use it. Now, you might say maybe this is why it likes to accelerate full speed ahead into fire trucks. But you'd be wrong. Other things follow into that as well. In fact, I think we're going to be covering some more about the crash tests with stationary objects on the side of the road in the smart section. But this car here, it is actually trying to keep LiDAR going with full freeway driving cars by 2023. Guys, this is the beginning of the end. I do not really want to be on the interstate with self-driving cars, especially after we get to the smart car section here on the next news section. But anyway, it doesn't like the phrase Tesla killer, but the comparison is hard to avoid. They raised $1 billion from Saudi Arabia 2 years ago. Great. How much you want to bet these things? Never mind. Do I really want to go there? I don't think I want to go there right now. Anyway, you could guess what some people over there might want fully autonomous cars for. Anyway, as a high-end battery electric sedan reminiscent of Tesla's Model T, scheduled to officially unveil the car in September, begin selling it next year. The major difference is that it is actually using LiDAR. And utilizing LiDAR, they're saying this is going to be a little bit better than Tesla's, although I don't really know for sure. I don't want any self-driving car on the road. I don't even really like a lot of the driver assist because it starts to make drivers lazy. And we'll kind of get into that. But anyway, keep an eye out for this firm. They are creating a new electric car competing with the Tesla, but they're taking the different approach using LiDAR. All right, next we have a new Mini-PC in the market, Studio Odyssey. It's a Mini-PC for big projects and small wallets. So we actually have multiple LAN ports, USBs, HDMI. I think there's really only one HDMI. So let's see what else we have here. We got Odyssey is to the left, significantly larger than the Odroid. I'm not familiar as much with the Odroid. But it is definitely more powerful they're saying. So the OS, of course, it comes with Windows 10 Enterprise activated, quad-core Celeron J4105, 8 gigs of LPDDR4 RAM, a integrated Intel UHD 600 GPU. The Wi-Fi is dual-band Intel 9650 Wi-Fi 5 plus Bluetooth 5 with a 64 gigs eMMC SSD in it. Various connectors. It does have the 40-pin Raspberry Pi compatible pin. It has the Arduino header as well, so you can do Raspberry Pi or Arduino connections. We have an audio jack. Oh, a 3.5 millimeter audio jack. Oh, I love it. We have 2 Intel Ethernet ports. These are gigabit internet ports. We have a SATA port, 2 M2 ports, 1 B key, 1 M key. We have 2 USB Type A's, USB 2s. We have a USB 3 Type A, a USB Type C, a micro SD slot. We have a Slim LTE slot, SIM LTE slot, sorry. And we have some power. Man, I might want to play with some of these. This guy here is, let's see, Odyssey with activated case is, with activated Windows 10 is $258. I wonder if we can get it without an operating system at all. That'd be fun. But we can kind of see a little bit of specs what it is. So you guys that are the computer geeks wanted to play around with something, there is a new board to play around with. That looks kind of fun, kind of enjoyable. Wonder what you could pull off with that guy there. Here's various performances. OG homebrew router, so single-threaded, multi-threaded. We have Kano PC. We have the Odyssey Mini. So very compatible with the single-threaded, but with the multi-threaded, it way outperforms stuff. All right, we have Passmark CPU test. And what else do we have? Signbench. I don't do all these PCU tests here. Walmart Eva. Why are you even comparing that? I don't know. Like, of course it sucks. Like, what can we find that's gonna suck to make this thing look really good? Walmart. It's got something. I know it. Okay. And here's application startup test. So there we are. So there's a nice new board if you're looking for that. So there's the good, the bad. They say although 8 gigs of RAM should be plenty, you can't add any more. So that's sad. Single SATA connector limits NAS possibilities. That is true. You might want to, what you could do with, what you could actually do though, just to prevent data loss is, what you can actually do with Open Media Vault is you can actually have an internal SATA and then you can have an external USB port and you can have them sync each other. So it's not exactly a RAID, but it's a pretty close to a RAID. That's actually an option that you would have for a NAS option. Let's see. Assembly instructions for the case could be better, and the ugly getting those Wi-Fi antenna leads snapped on properly. So apparently there were some issues with that. But you tech geeks out there, there's something new out there to play with. This one was sent to me on the Discord server. I thought it'd be neat covering it from Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. PNC will terminate all credit insurance on consumer loans. This was an interesting article. They said register. Oh, I've reached the limit of unregistered articles. Okay, well, apparently they would want me to register to read it, so I'm just going to tell you about it. So what these people are alleging is that PNC said, hey, we had this loan and we wanted to buy this loan out, and with our loan, if one of us were to die, then this insurance policy would pay for the duration of the balance of the loan. And PNC's like, no, we're terminating this. So they want to sue PNC to say, you either have to keep the policy in place or apply everything we've paid to the balance of the loan. This was a home equity line. So they paid over the last about 10 years, they paid about $5,000. So the question is, can they really do this? Well, it really depends on a lot of factors. I wanted to do this one because it's kind of related to business stuff and I know some stuff about this. So the first thing that they're going to want to do is they're going to want to look at their contracts. So if you're in this case, if you got one of these messages, the first thing you need to do is look at your contracts. If this is a whole life policy, it is very possible that they are not allowed to cancel it. If it is a term life, as PNC says, then it automatically expires after a period of time. So those are the things you need to look into. So if they're just closing what was basically a whole life type policy, then they would actually be forced to transfer the policy to somebody else at the similar terms, because they could actually be opening themselves up not only for a lawsuit for the lost premiums, but also as a lawsuit for, they could actually get in a lot of trouble with insurance regulators in the state. So if they wanted to get out of this type of stuff, the best thing to do would be to sell these policies to somebody else. So I'm interesting to see what's going to go on with this. But I thought it was an interesting enough business article to throw in there. A little bit unusual, but hey, why not? Unusual every now and again. All right, so today's affiliate we're going to do today is A2 Hosting. If you are in need of a web hosting for your business, actually if you're in need of a website for your business, go ahead and reach out to me on my contact form on Switch to Linux or my business, westernmtnweb.com. You can reach out if you need a website, but if you're in need of hosting, this is the company that I'm using for all of my clients' hosting. We have shared hosting as little as $8 a month, or $9 a month, I should say. And you can start the server out for $3. Very good price there. We have reseller. You can do VPSs. So this $5 VPS is one of the ones without cPanel. You can actually get this automatically configured with ISP config, which basically is an open source form of cPanel that I am going to be looking at sometime soon. So with that though, this is definitely a great place to have a look at getting your web hosting servers from. They're in the United States. They have a couple regions across the world as well. Every time I call them, I actually do get somebody in the United States. So I've been happily using them for a couple years. I encourage you to check them out. tlm.li/A2H. All right, so next, ProtonMail just got into the Apple Antitrust Act. So ProtonMail released this blog post on their page, how Apple uses anti-competitive practices to extort developers and support authoritarian regimes. So one of the issues here is that ProtonMail would kind of like to start pushing their client to various devices, and they can't because Apple is not necessarily allowing other devices like this or other types of applications to do mail clients on their devices. Now that is actually changing in the next iOS, as you can see from the headline down there. We're going to get to that story next. But what they're saying is, hey, we have too many issues where Apple does too much control and does not allow us to install applications. Once again, it's just adding yet another credible voice to the Apple antitrust debate. So let me know what you think about that. And for this chief story here, Apple now lays down ground rules for default third-party browser and email apps. So the idea here is that now you're going to be able to download an extra web browser, but also set that web browser as the default instead of being forced to use Apple's built-in applications as default. This might be part of their antitrust, but I don't know for sure. So developers can tweak their apps to qualify as default Safari or Mail replacements ahead of the release. So the idea here is that, yes, you can do it, but you have to follow several UI designs. You have to have a UI design that's very similar to what Apple does for the simplicity of using the device, which makes sense because that's Apple's biggest selling point, is being able to be easily user-friendly. So it's been a long time coming with iOS 14, 14 years coming. Apple has finally paved the way for third-party browser and email apps to become the default client on iPhones. While the feature isn't as rich as Android's, offering users to change the default gallery, photo, music, phone dialer, and SMS messaging apps in addition to browser and email, it's still meaningful consumer and developer-friendly steps from Apple towards making iOS a more flexible and embracing the platform for third-party Safari and Mail competitors. So basically, just Mail and Safari. Other things maybe in the future, but you do actually have to have a lot of the similar UI themes. There's a lot of things that you need to do, and they are actually giving the developers enough time to get into it, to plan it, to design it in order to qualify to be a possible replacement. So that might be good news for you Apple users that want to use something else than what their default happens to be. So let me know your thoughts to that and the other stories in the comments down below. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.